Welcome everybody. This is Coffee with Joe and Paul. My name is Paul Newell. We have Joe Bernstein here, my man coming off a great reset weekend. And we are here having conversations about things that matter, things that are relevant, things that help out with our ascension and evolution in whatever it is that we've set out to evolve into or ascend to. Today, Joe and I want to dive in on the impact and the intentions with results, like living off of the results. What does that mean? Well, that could mean living off of likes on social media, or living off of always getting a yes, which can lead to that type of living, can lead to disconnection, that can lead to discontent, dis-ease, frustrations, anxiety, depression, on and on and on and on. And it can have an impact on you. So this is something that Joe and I started talking to. Now, Joe, I'm trying to recall, what brought that on?
Actually, we're talking about, like, you had a little tangent about, hey, is anyone watching this? Why aren't people watching this? And you were telling me that you've been working on that yourself, is like letting go more.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, because I go on those tangents. But that's something that I've been working on, Joe. It's attaching to the result. And just what brought me to working on that, Joe, is I started recognizing that's what it was also, Joe. I started acknowledging that I was filtering too much, as far as like, well, when do I put this out? Is this too much? Is this the right time to post? Because there's rules about posting. So all this stuff was coming up for me, and I recognized that it was really stifling me sharing what I'm learning, sharing what what I'm doing. And I also recognized that led to some feelings of depression, some feelings of anxiety towards, like, am I doing this right, or is this happening? I felt myself, the best way I can describe it, Joe, is like constricting myself, like trying to fit into something. And we want to discuss this because this is something that's attached in our society. I judge, Joe. I'm going to acknowledge this as a judgment, that I see the society as being this instant gratification, like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and this is supposed to happen immediately. Whereas that's not always the way, man. Like, what's your take on just the results? Is that because you put out a lot of content, Joe? So for you, is there ever a time when, because you put out rich content, so is there ever a time when you feel like you're looking at the numbers or like the insights and getting into analytical mode over a creative mode?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that as far as releasing content is concerned, a long time ago, I just had to realize that content is for me to stoke creativity. Content is for me to keep flying the flag that my business is open. Content is for the people that will never work with me, but I want to have an impact on some way and somehow. So truthfully, it is a creative endeavor. What I also learned was, ultimately, I'm putting out content in some ways to help create business, so I can actually serve people with the thing I love doing, that I'm put here in this planet to do. And I noticed that there wasn't a direct correlation. There's times where I was getting hundreds of likes, and people are sharing stuff. There's no new clients showing up. And there's times where I'm not even on social media for a month or two at a time, because I've experimented with that, and I'm getting clients are showing up everywhere. So there's this real reality of, like, there's a disconnection. And I was able to see that if I'm attached to the likes that I get, or if I'm attached to people applauding or telling me how good the content was, then I'm actually creating a sense of suffering for myself. I'm like thinking about it, I'm checking it, I'm looking at it, I'm wondering who likes it. I'm trying to figure out what do I need to do to get more likes. And I want to take this outside of Facebook and say it's like a metaphor for how we do life.
Thank you.
Let's forget about Facebook for a second and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that. Let's just look at like what I really want to talk about when this topic came up was how much are we creating our life and how much action are we taking based on results orientation and or what other people think of us.
Speak on that, man. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because that's something I struggle with too. So I'm interested in what you're saying.
Well, I'm going to drop some, I would think some like philosophical nuggets or seeds, if you will. What I'm going to say is right now, I'm not connected to the result of this video having answers or instruction or teaching for people. I spent the weekend in a cabin in the woods. I'm very quiet and contemplative right now. So I'm all about like, maybe we just throw some seeds out there and let it grow for other people, right? So that's one thing is I'm not really connected to this being a specific product today. But what I was thinking about was if you were to strip away how much you get paid, if you were to strip away awards, accolades, people telling you did a good job, getting affirmation from everything outside of yourself, or the high that we get from hitting a certain measurable result. If you take all that away, who would you be? What would you be? What would you be doing? Like, how many people out there are willing to create, to take life energy and make something of it without getting the external validation rewards? Without getting the measurable external. If I can't measure, and if you can't pat me on the back or send me a check, A, what would I create? And B, how would I know if it was good? How would I know if it had impact? How would I know if it was meaningful in any way? And so that's kind of where I'm at.
That's flipping stuff on its head, man, completely. That's flipping everything on its head. My thinking is, the conditioning that I grew up in is rewards based, like education. Like I'm going to work towards getting an A, rather than I'm going to work towards understanding the content and implementing the material. Yeah. Like I'm going to work towards getting the first place award. I'm going to work towards this. So what I'm hearing you say is being free of that, and then what happens from that place? Yeah, and
it's a legitimate question. Like. Would I be homeless in a year? Right? Or would I be winning a Nobel Peace Prize in 10 years? Like which one, right? And it doesn't have to be this binary. It doesn't have to be this black and white, but there is that question of, I actually notice that human beings suffer less when they worry less about the tangible results, when they worry about what other people think of them. They create better product in the world, right? How many of the best artists in the world had no success while they were alive, but then later people were like, this person was a genius. They were creating purely based on creating the best art. They weren't necessarily creating based on what would sell. And then later on, people realized the virtue and the value in it, but it just didn't fit into what that time's needs were, aesthetically or creatively. It was beyond, it was above and beyond. So, what this has me thinking about is a lot of things. Right now I'm actually steeped in some interesting content, media. I've been watching Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix. You seen that?
I haven't seen it yet. I've yet to see it.
Oh my God. It's like
it's good?
Oh, it's so good. Okay. So I was thinking about like some of the best results, some of the changes in culture within hip hop often came. First of all, it was created, I didn't know this, from a cultural phenomenon that was never intended to even be recorded. I mean, it spent a decade or two, like at parties, underground. People were just flowing for hours, right? And changing it up and like making stuff up, and they're writing stuff and they're working together, but like the medium itself never was intended to be recorded.
Yeah.
After whatever 15 years of that, then somebody just grabbed 3 people from a gas station apparently and made Sugar Hill Gang, some record industry person who's like, everyone could rap back in the day because everyone was just doing it. And so if it was trying to be created, it would never become what it was. And then later down the line, it looked like mid 90s, when stuff started getting like real flashy with Puff and everything, right? And Mace and all them, right? And it was cool. People were digging it. It was like disco hip hop. Then there was
Yeah.
this underground, the cipher started happening in Washington Square where people were just freestyling and flowing. And then you had like Mos Def, right? And all those dudes come up out of that because they were like, look, we're just going to be in the park. It was actually like Giuliani shutting the
Right.
parks down that made them go into like little clubs, which then made it marketable. But up until then, it was just like, we're just looking for expression that's not this flashy stuff, right?
Right.
Um, and then I'm
Right.
thinking about like, I've been listening to this book, Stealing Fire, which is about how we create flow states and how we change states and how we're always seeking that.
Mm.
Well, there's been people over the past 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years that have been secretly and quietly, no reward, no accolades, doing the research on psychedelics, making their life about psychedelics. And now we're seeing that it's becoming more mainstream, and we're realizing that the capacity to unlock things in the mind is. So anyway, my whole point is how often is the best created from when things have to go underground where it can't actually get rewarded and acknowledged. And
Mm.
that to me is a place where I think we break away from suffering, and then we also become the most creative, and we get the most out of life, and we move ourselves forward.
Mm.
But again, what's the line? Because if I'm not at all results oriented,
Right.
then who knows how I maintain my body? Who knows if I maintain an income? Who knows how far I will go out into the fringes to where I can't then actually have a fulfilling life within the rest of the world, right? So like what I'm getting at is very
Mm.
full. It's like, where's the balance? We can't let go. I don't think we can let go of these things completely. I think intrinsically there's something about people that want results and outside external validation.
Right.
So anyway, I'm just going way off. I could kind of fly off the handle on this one right now, actually.
Well, you bring it to another piece that's in my mind now. Or but Steve, you said something that had a reaction for me is which rewards are we working towards?
Right.
The reward from another or the internal reward of contentment and expression?
Or aliveness and excitement, or
Right.
peace or love or fun or freedom. Like uh I checked, employers, even Fortune 100 companies, they're not passing out checks that have peace, freedom, and love on them, right?
Right.
And so what are we actually attaining? What are we striving for? And the measurability of life, how does it keep us boxed in to certain ways of being? um so anyway, what do you notice? What do you notice? How does results orientation, A, get in your way, but B, how does it serve you? How does it actually help you? Because like, I don't want to paint it as bad. Like, let's just
What
look at
the rewards you mean?
just results and rewards orientation. Sure.
Um, okay, so I'm an analyzer.
Yeah.
I can be in my head. And I also like to look at patterns. I like to observe patterns. Like I'm a people watcher. I'm like, and even when I'm training people, like or in group fitness classes, or like when I'm
Mm-hmm.
mentoring people, like I like recognizing a pattern. Like when we go over certain things, what are the reactions? So is it this? Is it this? Is it going to get us close? Is it going to help me help them get closer to the
Right.
goal? Because a lot of times when I'm looking at, say for example, like perfect example, yesterday I was doing a lecture in anatomy and physiology for an advanced teacher training, yoga teacher training. And I was talking about looking at the ankle complex, the hip
Mm.
complex, and the shoulder complex in a different pose and in movement, because that can dictate and that can tell me what's working and what's not, or what has yet to.
Mm.
So when we had one of the yogis go into a balance pose, first before she did it, she was like, my balance is all off, like some things. So as soon as she went into the balance pose, people were like, everything looks good. Well, and I was looking at her feet, and I was like, her foot's going back and forth, in and out. There's instability there, so it's going to be tough for her to balance. So for me, that's the like being able to do something and see a result right in the moment helps
Mm.
me see what. And I noticed that, like for example, on Instagram, I look at the insights. Like when I post something, I'm like, okay, that one was really resonant,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, I can post more of that stuff. Now the thing where I start to where I'm creating this level of awareness is, okay, once I see that, what's the intention for the next step?
Yeah.
is it, you know, and again, this is free of right and wrong. It's an intention. Is my intention to get more likes, right, and have more of a presence, or is my intention to drive them to this website? Because in the
Right.
analytics, I can look at, okay, well, how many people looked at my profile? When I put this out, I have more profile views, which leads to my website. And they're like, hey, I made a comment. They're liking the content. So I can understand this engagement. So that's where the results in analytics
I think I'm losing your internet. You're like freezing up a bunch now.
Can be a bit. Oh, am I? Okay, where did I freeze up? Okay, are you hearing me now?
Last 30 seconds or so. Yeah, you're like frozen and glitching.
Oh man, I must have been putting out good energy because before, boy. Let me know when it's coming back, when you can hear me clear. Can you hear me? Joe Bernstein, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right
Yeah.
now. Your video's freezing a little bit.
Yeah, that must have been right on point.
Yeah, you're a little
I
smoother
don't know
now.
where we left. Huh?
Well, you were going over like the benefits of tracking and allowing for more intentionality, being results oriented, helping you understand, okay, what is the intention I have and how am I moving towards that intention?
Yes. Okay. So you got the meat of it. Yep.
Yeah. So that's how it really values you. It's like we do in some way, we can't be completely disconnected to results because we need to be able to have feedback where we measure things, or else we're just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. We just like pew pew shooting blank arrows. It's like,
right.
And it's wild, man. I don't know what our time is like. I know we said we're gonna do a sprint,
right.
But you know, Joe and I getting something. We getting something. All right, damn it. Right. So we're gonna be free of how long it's gonna take me if we can get this in. The intentionality is something that's also been on my mind a lot lately because what is my intention? What do I want to do with this result? And this brings us back to like what happens when we're living free of an external reward?
Right. Well, I think what I hear, what really fascinates me, I don't want to say fascinates me. It's like the light bulb comes off from shit I already know. You know what I mean? So right. What you made really clear in the way you described it was this. If I am actually attaching any version of my self-worth, or if I'm aligned too much in my emotional state to measurable, specific results or external reward or validation, oh man, I suffer, my product is diminished, the quality of who I am is actually going kind of shadowy and looking for that. Whereas actually having a healthy relationship with feedback and results can propel us to further our intentionality of being, of living, of creating from. So like anything, it's not like the results orientation is bad. It's not that the measurement is bad. It's how do we connect to it as a human being? How do we connect to it emotionally? How do we connect to it psychologically? What is our orientation to it? Where I can be one of these guys just like, no, I don't want to be measurable. I don't want to be tracked. You know, that'll mess up my flow. That'll take away the intuition. But that's not true. The truth is sometimes I go to shadowy places when I'm too driven by result, right? But there is a healthy balance. There's a real healthy, strong balance. Some people I actually know, they love to track things. They love to measure things. They love to have spreadsheets and notebooks, and they're always there's like data everywhere, and they feel alive from it. They get connected from it. They have like a healthy obsession with things that way. Where me, it tends to bring a lot of stress and pressure, and I feel boxed in, and it's like I no longer love the thing I'm doing.
Understood.
Yeah. And then there's a third bank where it's just like, I need to check in to see what my bank account looks like or how many likes I have on that post, or else I'm miserable and unhappy and I don't have any damn worth in the world because I'm sourcing it all externally. Right. And so there are these multiple ways of being, right? And somewhere in the middle, there's the really healthy, grounded way of connecting with this idea of results and external feedback.
So man, dang, this was a good one, man. I'm curious too with people that watch this. I'm curious as to what's an internal reward for them. Like, what's an internal reward? As we talk about this and being results oriented, what's an internal reward that someone can tap into?
Right.
And it could be a feeling, thought, whatever. I don't know what it is for you. I'm thinking about what the heck it is for me. So I'm like, oh man, as I pose this question, I get to think about this and post this as well.
Yeah. And I would challenge people to think about a specific part of their life or a specific scenario.
Yeah.
Because, it's going to be very different. It's going to be very different,
Right.
for different parts of life.
So specifically, like, what's the internal reward in a relationship, or what's the internal reward for a career?
I'd break it down even smaller. Like, what's my intrinsic value that I gain, like, say, from sex with my partner, versus what's the intrinsic value I gain from, like, doing other caretaking for or with them, versus what's the intrinsic value I gain, like, when we're having a romantic date. These are all, like, very different rewards, different feeling states, and different things we're looking for. So I think it's important to say, like, oh, there's not one, like, end all be all thing I'm looking for inside.
Blessings. That's what's up. And we did another one. There it is, man. There it is. Joe, thank you for running through this with me, man. I love these conversations. I don't know how long it was, man. I just dig that. Let's wrap it up there, man. Because that's some good meat. There's things I get to think about now where I'm like, well, wow, what is my internal reward for connection with my partner? For, what's my internal reward for doing a mastermind? Like, what is it really? Like, so thank you for that, man. Appreciate you. And look, the sun is coming out. Can you see it?
I can see, yeah.
Forehead? That's freaking great. It's like, Blessings, Joe, man. Until next time, everybody, taste